Blessed be. Today is May 3rd, and it is National Teacher Day. Blessed be are those who will take other people under their wing. So much respect for anyone who takes teaching on as their career path at any educational level. It takes a particular soul to be a good teacher, and I appreciate everyone who takes that path and is good at it. I would celebrate today then the teacher that I actually still have contact with back from college, who actually I'm probably going to try to tag on this, CJ Robb, back from my days at Mesa Community College. And this was one of the first college teachers who made me feel as if I had value to offer. You're going through the transition, from the teenage years into early adulting, and you question a lot of, your place in the world. And she was one of the first people, not the only one, but one of the first who really looked at me and, whose comments and encouragement made me realize, maybe I can. Maybe I do have something to offer. And CJ, thank you. At work today, facilitated 2 meetings with my peers. So I'd mentioned earlier that I was splitting the meetings so one of my coworkers could attend the title block training. And I did not want to miss my regular cadence with the meetings. So I kept my 11 a.m. and decided to do that as more of a fun meeting. So work has purchased us LinkedIn Learning, and that was the focus for the meeting. I wanted to make sure my peers all had access. Did you click the buttons? Do you have LinkedIn? Did you click the buttons to get access? And some of our users had not, so hopefully they're getting that figured out. I think there's still some of them having some issues, like they were like, it's only offering me a free month. Well, and that's not what it's supposed to do. So yeah, got a couple people who will reach out to HR and get on board. I wanted to spend a few minutes discussing what you'll find on there for those who weren't familiar with the platform. You've got learning paths. I was like, this, here's this one. It's 23 hours, but it's broken down into, nice small bites. That's what I like about the learning platform on LinkedIn. It is very digestible. So you got learning paths, you got courses, and you can even save just the video. We talked about when you've got the video, there's a Q&A section, there's a place for notes. You can save the individual video, and you don't need the whole course if there's just that piece you want to reference later. Collections. I love how they have collections and that you can save a course or video into multiple collections. So you've got kind of different ways you process, the needed information. You're still accessing the same thing, but you just might categorize it in multiple ways. So I thought that was pretty cool. So that was our first meeting. And then we went into the second one an hour later, and the discussion was about title blocks. The first thing we did was a test run in Teams. Because again, all this SharePoint and cloud-based shenanigans, it's definitely going to take some trial and error to best figure out how we use it, because there's a little feature checking out a file. What does that mean? And what does it stop or help, what does the other user see if I checked it out? And so we kind of played around with that, like other people see that I checked it out, but they could still download the document, and what was it? They can download the document, but they cannot upload it if I have it checked out. But what happens if I check it back in and then they've still got a downloaded copy out? We might have to do some more diving into this and see how it all plays out. Because the concept is like, how do you not override what somebody else did? Right, this is the stuff that's, we'll call it our R&D files. Like I created a DWG where I inputted all the title blocks I had received from my coworkers, because I was like, I want them in one place. I have 2 sheet sizes in there. I made a 24 by 36 and a 35 by 42, so I could see, just how they all fit. That was a mess. Like, none of the title blocks work the same. Then the insertion point's not the same. This whole process, because this is what I worked on yesterday, was setting up the DWG, and then I started questioning about the page size, the architectural, like full bleed versus not. That was one of the questions I had posted on the forums, and I did get some replies on that. Or I should say groups. And that was not a forum question, but I did post in a group. And mixed replies, and kind of what I came up with was like, you don't want something else dictating your margin, which is my main takeaway. And I was like, I could get behind that. It lets me set the parameters of where my lines go and not letting something override a setting. I was like, that's good enough for me. I could get on board with the full bleed. So yeah. So then I've got my DWG that I've been working on with the title blocks, because they overlaid, hence the full bleed. Because when I switched it to full bleed, then it, covered the space, and I was like, okay. But if you created your things to fit in a regular space, you wouldn't need the full bleed, blah, blah, blah. But I think I might go ahead and just change the template to full bleed, because if it gives us a little more control, then I like control. So now I've got this file with all these title blocks, these chunky little title blocks that don't, the 0 insertion's not even set up properly and things like that. But what I wanted to do was to take all the little chunks, because they're all a bunch of vertically stacked, for the right-hand edge. And so we could compare. We're creating our own, but even if we're starting from scratch, it's nice to have the visual examples. Building from scratch, well, that's a lot of work versus like, I like this. And again, that Frankenstein component. Discussion then went to, what kind of information needs to be on there, how customer specific, things like that. I created an Excel sheet on Teams for everyone to kind of maybe go through, put in what they think needs to be on there. We'll see how that goes. All in all, it's a really great conversation, though. We talked about using the title block space. You've got this whole run. And sometimes a title block is full of information, job-related information, and a couple logos, things like that. But some of the versions, there's information here and here, And they would actually use the space in the title block, and that's where they would put notes and legends and things like that, which I expressed I was not a fan of. I would vote to not have our title block use space for legends or notes, because again, the question is, what happens the moment your information exceeds that space? I would rather give up layout real estate and create, whether it's along the top or, just another strip to the side that's dedicated to, like, if you have to have the legend on every page. Sometimes they want that. I mean, that's fine. Plan, page specific plan notes, that you need space for that. But it may mean, you're losing just a little bit of real estate for your floor plan. When you're dealing with large warehouses, then you might be adding more sheets. Sorry about you, but that's the name of the game, because it's either that or you mess with your scaling, and scaling's a part of the functionality to make it readable, so I wouldn't vote for that. So not sure what we technically got accomplished other than good conversation and some interesting feedback. Definitely a work in progress. One thing we decided is we need the data first. What do we want in the title block? That list in the Excel. Because once that's decided on, then we create the visual component of it. And now that after we've got all that structure put in place, then how do we automate it? What is our process going to be? Attributes, fields, sheet sets, blah, 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 stuff like that. That's where we have partnered up with our retailer they're going to help us create that plan. Super excited about that. They've been great to work with. Very intense day with the 2 meetings. I think everybody really liked them, so I'm really glad I was able to pull this off, because with the title block thing, we don't have time to keep messing around. We've got to make some choices. So hopefully I could get my peers to help contribute to the data. And again, who likes this part of the R&D? Somebody brought that up. It's we don't really care. I'm well, somebody might. I don't want to take all the fun. I do like this stuff, but I also know I don't have all the answers. And if anybody else does like playing around with this stuff and the creation, it's the logical art. I don't want to take that away from someone and be like, we got to do it my way. Even though, I'm like that in most of the rest of my life, but at least with AutoCAD, I know we got choices. And I want to hear your opinion. So that's it for today. If you would like to hear more entries into the CAD Witches Grimoire, don't forget to hit subscribe. And until next time, merry meet, merry part, and merry meet again.